Welcome everybody to our 2024 Placerita Canyon open house, and this is our Walker cabin Walker family ceremony, and it's really great to see all the representatives of the Walker family here today. We have three speakers. They'll be short speeches, I guarantee.
Well, maybe.
Well, I don't know about her. Me, I'm Ron Krause. I'm a longtime volunteer and docent here at Placerita Canyon Nature Center. We have Broutt, and who's walking away, but he'll be back.
I'll be right. I'm just looking for a couple people.
He's looking for a couple of people. And we have Mr. Bob Walker, who's here somewhere. You know, the Walker family was the owner of this property before it was a park, and Frank Walker bought it in the early 1900s, and he held on to it until 1949. They sold the first piece of property to the state for a park. That's where you're sitting now. And then in 1959, he sold the second increment of property, which is what we now call the Walker Ranch, okay? And anyway, Frank used the property for mining and ranching and farming, and also raising his 12 kids. And you know, most of you here have some association with one of those 12 kids. Unfortunately, the original 12 kids, they've all passed away now. I think the last one was Richard, and he passed away a couple of years ago.
92 years old.
I know I talked several of you related to Melba. We had Melba's service here. She lived, I think, until 99. And we had her 98, was it? Okay. We had her memorial service here a few years ago, and I don't know if anybody was at that. Okay. Anyway, so the Placerita Canyon property and the Walker family go way back, okay? One of the special items we have this year is this 1935 Ford truck. And this is amazing. This is Frank Walker's truck that he bought new, I understand, in Santa Paula, California, 1935. One of the stories I've heard, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that on driving the truck back from Santa Paula to here, he saw a stack of wooden pallets, picked up a stack of wooden pallets, and made the bed for the truck, which I call that adaptive reuse. I think it's pretty clever. So anyway, the truck was used at the park here for many, many years, and I don't know the entire chain of custody, but eventually it ended up at Bob Walker's property in Ojai. And a few years ago, Bob told us about it, and Herb and myself, and I saw Dan and another couple of docents, Denny. We drove up to Ojai, and we saw the truck, and it was in kind of rough shape. It had, actually part of it had been burned. There was a fire that burned through Ojai, and the bed was partially burned up, and the tires were flat. And Bob was in the process of moving, and he said, "Hey, you know, you guys want this truck?" I said, "Sure." You know, so Dan and myself and Herb, we came back to the park here, and you know, we just couldn't work it out with the county where to store it, how it would be stored, who'd be responsible for you know, restoring it. So we talked to a wonderful gentleman here, Leon Warden, who is the head of the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society, amongst all the many other hats he wears in this valley. And he said, "Yeah, I'll take it." So anyway, Bob had it trailered over to the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society property in Hart Park, if you know where that is. And that's where it resides. The Santa Clarita Valley Corvette Club members have been restoring it, and it's amazing. Take a look at it before you leave. The engine's all been cleaned up, and the thing actually runs. My goal was, I said, I want it to look like, park it out in front of the Walker cabin. I want it to look like Frank Walker is going to step out of this cabin and say, "I'm going to work today, kids," and get in that truck and drive off. And I think it looks like that, you know, doesn't it? I mean, it's cool. They've kept the patina of age on they've got that clear coat on it. They got a new stake bed on it, new tires. I think it's a wonderful example. I mean, I don't know of any other family heirloom vehicle in, you know, anywhere. I mean, a 1935 truck. I mean, that's just amazing how that thing has ended up,
Yeah,
you know, still here.
Family.
Again, the County of Los Angeles now operates this property under a long-term lease from the state of California, and the park has been preserved, and we have a bunch of committees and a bunch of docents that take care of stuff. The Walker cabin, we formed a committee a few years ago. It kind of got short-circuited by COVID a few years ago, but anyway, the head of our Walker cabin committee is Mr. Broutt, and I'm going to introduce him, and he's going to tell of some of the stuff we've got going on with the cabin. So let's give him a hand. Hey, Herb.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Herb, and I'm glad to see so many walkers are here. Yes. Unfortunately, I've missed the last couple of years because I've been traveling, and Bob said to me, Herb, you're always around, but you seem to be gone every time when there's the committee, when we have the open house. So I had a trip, and I canceled it just so I could be here.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
So I'm glad you guys are all here. It's really nice to see everybody here. And just so I think Ron had mentioned it, but if it wasn't for Bob keeping everything, I mean, we went out to his house and he showed us all sorts of stuff that he had, which is just amazing. And the truck, and I know Bob's a quiet guy, but he's donated money to get the truck down here, get new wheels on it, do a lot of things. So we're really glad that we have a relationship with all of you, and we're really glad everybody's here today. So I just want to talk about the cabin. So this cabin was built in 1920, and now you all know, obviously the family knows, but the Walkers had 12 kids, 7 boys and 5 girls. And if you look inside of here, it's not really as big as you would think to have so many kids. Off to the side, there was another room, so basically you could do that from the other room. But for the most part, now this cabin was built, so this was what they called the winter cabin, because during the winter time, since they didn't have running water or electricity, they'd have to get the water, from the stream over there. So this was pretty close by the stream. As we like to tell the kids, because there wasn't very much water, they would have to take the water from the stream, come in here, heat it up on the wooden stove, and then we have a big bucket which they used for taking baths. So what I tell the kids, so there was 12 kids and 2 parents. How'd you like to be the 10th kid to take a bath? And they're like, not a chance in the world. We have the cabin open on the weekends sometimes, and we have school tours that come to see it as well. But we have some of the new docents, Denise being one, Sandy, Jenny, I'm not sure she is, but new docents, because every year we have a new docent class, and they were very interested in the cabin. So now we have people coming here during the day, and during the week they come. And in fact, we put it online, so if anybody wants to sign up to come. But our new group has really made it really great, because they come out here a lot, and they open up the cabin during the week and on the weekends. And people always come by and go, can I go in the cabin? Can I go in the cabin? Well, unless there's somebody here, we really can't do that. So it's really nice now, and it's an honor to all of you that we can basically show the cabin and have people come and see it and enjoy it. So basically, this isn't the original cabin. It was restored a few times over the years, but about 10 years ago, the movies put this, redid it. So this is really a reenaction of what was here. But about 10 years ago, it was restored. And in fact, one of our docents, his name is Mark, he isn't here. Mark was involved. He's here cleaning it up because, man, there's a lot of, we tried at one point to get exterminators here, and the mice and all sorts of bugs come in here. So the place gets pretty dirty pretty quickly. So Mark and the group have they come out here once a week or so, and they try to keep the place clean. So it's beautiful. We've gone through. In fact, if any of you have any artifacts, because Bob's given us some stuff in the past and some stuff today that we can, put in here and show to people, that would be fantastic. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. And I'll announce Bob.
So that's my grandmother and her first son, Clarence, and it was in 1911. And if you look closely at her hands, you can see that she was really a hard-working woman. And the dirt and the nails, and that's where the pioneer women were. And so this other picture that I'm donating was about 19 years later. So there they are in that picture. And he was a cowboy, and he was probably going to be pretty successful at it, but he got tuberculosis. He ended up down in the All of You Sanitarium getting treated for that. So I don't know if you wanted me to go into more detail of the stuff I put in here on this.
Yeah,
I could read some of this. I wrote a few things down. And so Hortense Reynier, which is her, was the daughter of Joseph and Josephine Reynier. She was born in 1886 in the city of Los Angeles. When she was only a year old, they moved to their Sand Canyon home adjacent to Placerita Canyon. the Reynier family owned about 600 acres, and they raised sheep and grew wine grapes. This is from an interview with Frank Walker, which is my grandfather and her future husband at the time. In those days, you had to make your own entertainment. And we had Saturday night dances. You just had to go to these if you cared to find any girl at all, as girls were very scarce in those days. There was a lot of competition. Miners came in from all over for these dances. The two of us used to ride horseback all over the canyon. And then Frank remembered seeing her riding in a two-wheel cart pulled by a horse to school at Sulphur Springs, followed by her pet sheep, who used to go everywhere with her. Frank Walker and Hortense Reynier were married on June 19, 1907. Frank built their first home on a 60-acre homestead. You can still see the remains of the house next to Placerita Canyon Road. Some concrete stairs and 2 rock pillars are all that are left. Then around 1920, they moved to the Walker cabin, which is here, and the family continued to grow until there were 7 boys and 5 girls. According to Hortense's daughter, Melba Walker Fisher, says Mama was pure French, and she could speak Spanish, Italian, and French fluently, but she could only speak broken English. Hortense was a very fun-loving person. She loved music and dance and always had company over. Hortense could play any instrument by ear and had a lovely voice. My mother and I were very close. Clarence was the only cowboy in the family, according to Richard Walker, his brother. Clarence worked with Bill Hart, the famous actor, from 1925 to 1930. And according to Uncle Richard, if Clarence had lived, he would have been a famous movie actor. Clarence played as an extra in the movie Cimarron. He was kicked by a horse while working on a movie. He ended up in Olive View Sanitarium with tuberculosis. According to Richard, he had a chicken dinner the night before he was to be released. He died from food poisoning from bad chicken. Clarence died in 1932, and cousin Alvin said it was botulism in the chicken. There was a couple other guys that think were poisoned that same night. Hortense made many trips to visit Clarence while he was in the sanitarium. She caught tuberculosis, meningitis, and passed away on 13th of April 1931 in San Fernando. Her passing was devastating to the family. I don't believe that her husband Frank and the rest of the family ever recovered from it. So that's about all I have to say about it. And,
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
Well, sure.
And these pictures will be displayed in the cabin, along with some of the other the donations that we've had from Bob and some of the other family members. The wedding certificate from Frank and Hortense, and then the sign. You're all wearing the T-shirt with the Walker camp, and we do have a brochure from Walker's Placerita camp, where your grandfather or great-grandfather, we had kind of a little bit of a dude ranch sort of a situation up here. Very reasonable rates, you could, weekly rates $8, according to size and location of the accommodations. You get barbecue dinners. So this is actually a replica of one of the flyers, courtesy of the Santa Clarita Valley Historical Society and Leon Warden. But anyway, if you want to take a look at it, I'll put it in the table in there. So yeah, that concludes our ceremony. If any Walker family member wants to say anything, or okay, I see a finger. Somebody stand up here. This is Richard Nuss.
Yes, I'm the grandson of Melba, and of course, all the family here, we've all heard the stories quite a bit. So there's not a lot I can add, but I do have some artifacts on the table there that came. There's a sign that was about 1930s here, and it was the Placerita Wilson Trail, which is the old Spanish trail that Vasquez used to come down. So I have that sign there. I have a pocket watch from Joseph Reynier, and that's kind of neat. And I have some gold nuggets that are Santa Clarita. I got them here in Santa Clarita. And I also have a pick right there that is one of the picks that the boys got during Christmas.
So this is Lillian from Papa, September 2491.
In conjunction with being able to see this fabulous truck of our grandfather's, I want to tell you a story. We all know that this is a movie location, and in the early days, a lot of movie people came out here from Hollywood. And one of the things that happened with this old truck is that when the Hollywood ladies would show up here, Papa, our grandfather, Frank Walker, would haul all the boys in the back of the truck way up the canyon so that they couldn't see the women from Hollywood. and then when they got up there, he told them that they needed to pick up rocks on the road, which was one of the common jobs that they did. So that's a really wonderful memory concerning the truck. And I just think that all of us here, I want to say that this is a very special day, that we are gathered together as a family. It's priceless. And it's also a reunion for all of us that haven't seen each other for many years. It's very important. So that's what I wanted to say today.
I've got one other thing I wanted to add. I just, we're talking about the truck, and it's a pretty important thing for the history of the area. But yeah, I actually rode in it one time back probably about the mid-1950s. Uncle Ed and I were out gathering wood. So, we got the truck loaded and we're ready to come back to the ranch house with the load, and the truck wouldn't start. And Uncle Ed started swearing and cussing, he was out of gas. So he had a gallon can in the back of the truck, and it was white oil. And he poured that white oil in it, and the truck made it, it got us back to the ranch house. So it was pretty interesting, but that's the only time I've ever ridden in the truck.
So that story's true, because we tell that to the kids that, the white oil comes up out of the ground a couple of miles from here, and we said, hey, the Walkers used to put that in their truck and drive it. So it's a true story.
Yeah, I think normally they wanted to mix it a little bit with some regular gas, so he was probably a little nervous. Maybe it was probably pure white oil. It may not run too well, but it did.
Well, I always make the joke that, he was a little bit afraid of taking it down to the DMV and getting it smogged. I don't think they'd pass smog, with that white oil. But
yeah, cruise through that.
We all too that if Bob told us a story, we know it's 100% true.
Yeah, well, that's not true.
Okay, so let's see. Anybody else want to say anything, or we want to gather for a picture for our photographer here? Where do you want him, Jamie?
In front of the truck.
In front of the truck? Okay, so if you could go over by the truck and we'll get a nice family portrait.